Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I want to show you my Art Impressions Tropical Flag Card. And I don't know if you've ever made a flag card before, but it's really easy to do. It's fun and interactive. And I also want to show you a Brayer technique to create the water. So let's go ahead and get started. So for Art Impression stamps, we're going to be using the pufferfish, the crab, the turtle, the seahorse, the octopus, and the dolphin. And then we're also going to be using this mini trifold set. This is the Circlets. You get all three of those stamps. We're just going to be using one today. And this is the Tropical Circlet set. And for paper, we're using the Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock. I've gone ahead and placed my stamps in my Misty Stamp Positioner, and I'm inking them up using the VersaFine Onyx Black ink. So to color these in, I'm going to be using the Hero Hues Reactive inks. And this first one is called Grape Slush. I'm using my Tim Holtz Detailer Tip water brush to do my painting. And what I want to do is make sure that it's clean. And I'm also squeezing out a little bit of water just to get it started. But you do want to keep checking the amount of water you have. So I'm going to just dab it off on a paper towel until I get the right amount of water. And then I can start picking up the color off my mat. So I've just placed a little bit of that ink right on my mat, and I'm going to start picking it up with that brush. And you can do some highlighting and shadowing here. You just want to go back and pick up a little bit more ink. If you feel like the brush is a little bit too wet, then again, just dab it off on your paper towel until you get just the right consistency. And then I'm just going to add a few little shadows here. Now for his cheeks, I want to add a little bit of the fruit punch. So I'm going to put a little of that on my glass mat, and I'm going to just place a little on the cheeks there and blend that out. Now the next one I'm going to use is Blue Hawaii, and that's for my little dolphin. So I'm going to start off with the fruit punch for his cheeks, and then I'm going to use the Blue Hawaii, and I'm going to keep him the darkest at the top and sort of blend down towards his tummy and keep that the lightest. And I have 8 colors of the Hero Hues Reactive inks, so I'm going to use those 8 colors today, and I'm just going to kind of make that work. So this is a good way to kind of use what you have. I thought these colors lent themselves really well to the tropical theme. So I'm not going to introduce any other colors but these 8 colors, and you'll see those as we go along here. Now back to the fruit punch again. And I'm going to also be using the yellow, which is called Lemon Drop. And I'm going to be using these to color in my little crab because, again, I don't have a red. So I'm going to make this work here. I'm going to use a little bit of yellow down at the bottom and at the top of his little legs there. And then I'm going to use that fruit punch starting just above his mouth there, and just keep it darker right along that edge and then pull it up towards the top, keeping the top the lightest. And then I'll take a little bit of that color and go over the yellow. That's going to create kind of an orangey tone there. Here I'm just going to add some little shadows where the little joints are here, just keeping it darker along each of those edges and pulling that up towards the top. And I did the same thing for the other side. Now I'm going to be coloring in the turtle with Key Lime Fizz and Blue Raspberry. I'm starting with that lighter color, the Key Lime Fizz, and then I'm going to create my shadows with that Blue Raspberry. And this actually makes a really pretty combination. I'm adding a little bit of that fruit punch to his cheeks. And then I'm going to introduce a little bit of that lemon drop. I'm going to start with that on his shell. Then I'm going to add a little bit of the lighter green just along the tops of those little sections, and then a little bit of the darker green, and then I'll just pull that together. And there I just used the paper towel to blot up some of the color, just to keep that center area the lightest. So you can do that as well. If you get a little bit too much water, you can blot it up with a paper towel. And you can also blot color off if you want to create a highlight. It's a really easy way to do that. Now with Pool Party and Blue Raspberry, I'm going to color in my little seahorse. So again, using that same technique. And then I'm going to go back to that blue Hawaii and dot on a little bit of color. But later you'll see that I'm going to come over that with a white gel pen. So for now I'm just adding a little bit of that blue Hawaii color here. Now with Fruit Punch and Lemon Drop, I'm going back to those two colors. I'm going to do my little puffer fish. And I'm going to do the Lemon Drop first. Then I'll add the Fruit Punch kind of along the middle section here. And then I'm going to pull that up towards the top, and then I'll do the same thing on the bottom, pulling it down towards the bottom. So now I just want to color in this little sunset scene. So I'm going to do the sun with the lemon drop, then adding the Fruit Punch. And then I'm just going to bring a little bit of that reflection down into the water there. Just kind of scribble it in the shape of a V. And then I'm going to take that blue Hawaii first and start at the outer edges. Then I'm going to grab the blue raspberry, and I'm just going to butt those two colors up against each other here and blend them out a little bit. And then I'm going to go to Pool Party and just bring that all the way into that reflection there. Just kind of blending up to that yellow. I don't want to create too much of a green color there. And then for the sky, I'm going back to the sky. I just want to let that sun dry just a little bit before I finished it off here. I'm adding that lemon drop all around the top. Then I'm going to come in with the Fruit Punch just kind of right along the top of the water there and just around the sun, and just kind of blend that out a little bit. Just fade it out. And there again, I'm just blotting off any excess color. And for that little flower at the bottom, I'm using Fruit Punch and a little bit of the Key Lime Fizz. And now you can see all of these images up close. So I'm going to cut these out, and I'm just going to use my detail scissors and just cut, leaving a little white border all the way around. And for the circlet, I'm going to use my circle die. I'm just going to select one that fits right around that, leaving a little tiny bit of a border around it. I'm taping that down with a little bit of purple tape and I'm running it through my die cutting machine. I did cut one extra circle out of the Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock and I glued those two together using the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. Now for dies, I'm using the double stitched rectangle dies from Art Impressions, and I'm using that second largest one. And then I'm using these rounded rectangle double stitch dies, and I'm going to use that fifth largest one. And I'm going to die cut 3 of those from the Bristol Smooth paper. And those are going to create the little flags on the inside of my card. So to create the card, I've got some Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock. It measures 5.5 by 8.5, and I'm scoring it at 4.25. So I'm creating a standard A2 size card. Then for the inside, I'm using a 65-pound weight cardstock. You want something a little bit lighter for the inside here because you don't want it to get too bulky. So I'm going to cut this at 5.5 by 11. So again, this is for the inside of the card. Now I want to score this. So I'm flipping that tab over to create the score. And I'm going to score at 3.25. I'm going to flip it around and score at 3.25 again. And then I'm going to score every 3/4 of an inch from there over. So I'm going 3/4 of an inch. I'm just counting the 1/4 inches here. So every 3/4 of an inch until I hit that other score line. And you can see that there. So now that I have that, I want to fold that first end towards me. And I'm going to use my bone folder to press that out. And then I'm just going to fold away from me and then towards me and away from me and so on. It's just a standard fan fold. And I'm going to continue doing that, pressing that out with my bone folder. And then at the end here, just kind of make sure that everything lines up and give that a nice press. And you can open it up as well and just press out those folds inside, just to make sure everything lays nice and flat. And so this is what it looks like. You'll have 3 little peaks in the middle here, and your right and left panels will measure 3.25 inches. So this is going to sit right inside our card here. And that's going to create the little mechanism for to hold our flags. So now I've got 3 of the smaller panels, which will be the little flags, and then 3 of the larger panels. So I want to color these in and create the look of water. So I'm going to start off here with the pool party. I'm going to add this color just randomly. I kind of want to keep that circular motion here. I like the little circles. I think it gives more the look of water. And then with blue raspberry, I'm going to do the same thing. And then with the blue Hawaii, I'm going to kind of fill in those areas a little bit. Then I'm going to go back to the pool party and just blend this a little bit, but I still want to keep those light and dark areas. So I don't want to blend it too much. And you can see that there. So now with my Tim Holtz Distress Sprayer, I'm going to spritz this with a little bit of water. And again, this is a reactive ink. These Hero Hues are reactive with water, so you're going to get this beautiful spattered effect. So I'm going to blot off that excess water. For ink, I'm using the blue Hawaii, and I'm going to create the water effect using my Speedball Brayer. And this is a detachable brayer. So I'm going to snap off the brayer portion. I'm going to grab a couple of elastic bands, and I'm going to wrap those around about 3 or 4 times. And then I kind of want to pull them apart. This is going to give kind of a wavy look. So I want to make sure that I don't have them all bunched together. I just kind of want to separate those. Just play around with that a little bit till you get them kind of crisscrossing and a little bit of space between them. Now you could use a thin elastic or a thicker elastic depending on the look that you're going for. Then once you have those the way you like it, you're going to snap your brayer back together here. It just pops right into place. And then I'm going to pick up the color onto the elastic band. Because the elastic bands are raised up a little bit, you should only be picking up color right on the elastic bands. Now you want to make sure that you lift and roll each time. You don't want to go back and forth because you want to make sure you completely cover the elastic band all the way around, so that when you roll it across your paper, you'll get color all the way across. So I'm going to blot off a little color first. So I just put a little on my scrap paper, just to take a little bit of that darkness away. I'm going to do that each time. And then you can add a little bit more here or there with that leftover ink that you have on your brayer. And you can see there that you get this beautiful water effect. I just love how this looks, and it's so quick and easy to do. Now for these little flags, you want to make sure they're turned on their side in the landscape direction, because you want them to line up with the waves that we've already created for those larger panels. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to ink up my brayer, then just take a little bit of that excess off on some scrap paper and then roll it onto my little flags. So to clean your brayer, it's really simple. You just spritz it with some water. Just wipe it down, wipe it really well with your towel, then snap that brayer off again, pull off your elastic bands. You do want to make sure you don't store it with those elastic bands on it, because they could leave a mark on the rubber. And then when you store your brayer, you always want to store it upside down. You don't want to lay it on the rubber part, because it could flatten the rubber a little bit over time. So now we've got these two panels, and we're going to cut those to fit right on the inside of our card. So I just want to leave an even border all the way around. So I'm going to put these in my Tim Holtz trimmer, and I'm just going to cut these down. So I'm going to cut this panel at 2 7/8 of an inch. And then you can see that's going to fit right inside the front and back flaps of the card. So I've got that second one cut as well. And then I went ahead and I attached these with a little bit of my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. And you can see those are all set. Now I want to attach this accordion fold inside my card, but first I'm going to do the front panel just because it's nice and flat at this point and it's easier to attach it. So now I can go ahead and attach this centerpiece. And what I want to do is put tape right up to that first score line, which is at 3 1/4 inches. I'm going to put plenty of tape. And you do want to use a nice strong adhesive. That's why I'm using the ATG adhesive. It's a strong, permanent, double-sided tape. I'm going to line up that with the corners of my card and press that down. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Again, just going up to that first score line and then lining it up with the edges of my card and taping that down. Now you can see we have the mechanics of the inside of the card, and you're going to have those 3 little peaks on the inside of the card here. And that's where our flags are going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this first one. I'm putting tape only on one side, and I'm going to attach that to the center of the card on that center flap. And I'm going to be gluing all of these flags to the left side of those little accordion folds. So I want to attach them all on the same side. So again, the back one, just a little bit up from the bottom of the card, maybe about 1/8 of an inch. And then for this last one, I'm going to come down from the top of the card about 1/8 of an inch as well. And that's going to give me my 3 little flags. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, and I'm going to glue all of these little pieces in place. And then for these little flags, I'm just going to glue them in the middle, maybe a little towards the right. I'm going to move them around just so that they kind of look spaced out nicely here. And you can see how cute that is. And you get that really cute pop-up element inside the card. Now for the front, I wanted to have that little dolphin popping up from behind this little sunset. So I'm going to create a little belly band to hold this card together. So this piece of cardstock is a 65-pound weight cardstock, and it's 1 1/2 inches by 11 inches. So I'm going to loosely wrap this around and then attach it with a little bit of tape. And you do want to make sure that it's not too tight. You want to just check that and make sure it loosely will move on and off without getting stuck on there. So now I'm going back and adding a little tape for underneath the sunset here. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue down my little dolphin. And by the way, that sentiment on the card says, wishing you a bright sunny day that's perfectly perfect in every way. And when you glue down this little dolphin, you want to make sure that you glue it down nice and securely. So make sure you have glue all around the edges of it as well, so it doesn't get in the way of that little belly band. Now I'm taking my Uniball white gel pen and I'm just going to go ahead and add some little highlights here and there just to bring this to life a little bit here. So you can do as much or as little of this as you like. And then the last thing I wanted to do was add another sentiment. And I want the one that says, seize the day. And this is from the Loads of Fun stamp set. And look at all those cute images that you get. So we're going to go ahead and stamp this. I have a strip of paper here that's about one half inch wide. And all I needed was maybe about 3 or 4 inches here. So I'm just going to cut right up the middle there and create a little flag banner here. And then I'm just going to cut it to size and attach this to my card. So I'm just putting a little glue on the back of that. And then I'm just going to position that on the card, maybe about halfway down on the left-hand side. So let's take a closer look at today's card. And you can see that beautiful sunset we have on the belly band. And I'm going to slide that off. And you can see that beautiful water texture we got using that brayer with the elastic bands. So I hope I've inspired you to pull out your brayer and play around with it a little bit. It's one of those tools that I think we've had forever and you forget about it. And I also want to say that I've done another card using this Circlet set. And I'll put it up above here. It's called the Art Impressions Tropical Circlet Acetate card. And you can find that on my blog. So if you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to visit me at pinkwhisperdesigns.com. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.